name is Teresa Keogh, and welcome to episode 3. Today is March 31st. Happy spring. April is coming. The warm weather is nearly here most days. Of course, it comes in and out. But it's great to see all the flowers starting to come up and all of those spring things that we look forward to. To start us out today, let's take a look at a finished object. So this is a scarf that I designed myself. It is a brioche scarf, and it's very long and kind of hard to show on a small camera, but yeah, the thing is pretty long. On one side, the main color is all red, and then on the other side, the ends have a section of green with red in the middle. I'm considering this my new football scarf, aka soccer scarf, with the World Cup coming around this year. I'll be rooting for Morocco, and yeah, so we went with Moroccan colors. It's very comfortable. It's so comfortable. The thing is gigantic and warm and squishy with the brioche texture. Very exciting. Furthermore, this is going to be a pattern that I'll be writing up and placing onto Ravelry for sale. It's going to be a charity pattern for a horse farm near us, so those details will be coming once I figured out how the process works more thoroughly. But yeah, I'm thinking that there will be a brioche set in the long run. First this scarf, hopefully mittens, a vest, a sweater, a hat. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, for now, we're looking at the vest, and she is so comfy. Very exciting. My plan for the pattern is to write it so that you can make it up in any gauge that you like. With this being the first sample, I did learn a bit for the swatching guide. Having this block out and see the comparison of my cast on and bind off edges with the main fabric, that will definitely alter the plan for swatching, which we'll make another sample and see if my revisions work. I don't think I have anything more to say about this. It's pretty simple scarf. And yeah, let's move on to some works in progress. For my first work in progress, we're going to start with another piece like the scarf that we didn't mention on the last podcast. So this is my Soho top by Kadri. A garter stitch tank top, and you can very clearly see the difference between where I worked flat and where I worked in the round, but that's okay. The pattern says to knit this up on a DK yarn, but I'm using the cotton from We Are Knitters, which is listed, I believe, as the worsted / Aran weight, in a very neutral, everyday, throw it on kind of color, which is exactly how I plan to wear this tank top. It's the second one I've made, and I'll do more of a comparison when this one is finished and washed. For a cotton piece, I'm just going to wash it in the washer and dryer because why not? That's what I do with the other. But we can do a full comparison when they're both in a similar sort of state. I did really like my first version of this, with a few exceptions that weren't the pattern's fault. So I'm planning to remedy those with this one. And then we'll have another piece that I can put on any day, under any circumstance, and not have to worry about, which is lovely. It's a pretty easy knit. The only, it's not even difficult. The only thing about it is doing the purl rounds to work garter stitch in the round, but that's really not a big deal. There are slip stitches along the side to form a sort of faux seam, and then it'll be finished in a 2-stitch I-cord. So it's very straightforward knit, and I look forward to wearing this. The garter in the round has gotten a little bit lackluster, but the piece itself is going to shine like nobody's business, so that's okay. This is a piece that I do see myself continuing to remake in different types of yarn, in different stitch variations. I'm thinking about making some without the seams or making some in stockinette instead of garter and see how it works out. Maybe I'll do a 3-stitch I-cord, this, that, and the other. As you'll see when I do the comparison, the first one I worked in stripes, which was an issue along the slip stitches because I didn't even consider knowing how to do a jogless stripe and slip stitches. I feel like that'd be hard when I made that, but other than that, I don't have too much more to say. I love my first version of this piece. I know I'm gonna love this one just as much. So we'll move on to the next, I suppose. Okay, Neville's dinner party vest has officially been steeked. I did felt the steeks instead of using a sewing machine or crochet stitch or any other sort of stitching. I'm pretty confident with how sturdy that is turning out. I used a felting needle. I did not felt it on anything, so there was a rather unpleasant amount of catching my finger with the needle, which I did not enjoy. But the final result is good. I didn't really exactly know too much what I was doing when I worked that steek, so I went through the whole steek with the coarse needle, then with a medium one, cut the steeks, and then took a fine felting needle and the edges in my finger and sort of worked the needle straight down through the side. And she's solid. She's stiff. She's not going anywhere. It seems like a very sturdy method. I still have to decide how I'm going to work the inside of it, whether I'm going to line it or simply sew it down. We're not sure. But yeah, we have a vest and she's not falling apart. I am going to change how the neckline works on this because I do want to have central decreases along the center instead of the fold as it's written in the pattern. But to be quite frank, I haven't even read through the directions yet, so we'll see which modifications do end up coming. I'm really quite thrilled about this. It blocked out beautifully. If I made it again, I'd love to add one more repeat into it, both in terms of length and width, just to get a bit of an oversized nature. It's pretty zero ease on me right now, which is fine. We love her. She's pretty. Personal goal is to have this finished, like completely finished, like blocked, all the edging on, all the finishings done by the time we film for end of April. So I think we can all look forward to finished Neville's dinner party vest in her final state. Very exciting. I do feel like we're going through this rather quickly. But I suppose it is what it is. Other than the fact that she's steeked, I don't have any new developments. Oh, actually I do. We had the ends. We have all of the ends woven in. That took me a good on 3 weeks to convince myself to work on that. So all of the edges have their ends woven in. The ends that you can see here, these are just stitches on hold. I also did fix the color chart that had been giving me an issue. So there is no longer a single stitch. I went through and duplicate stitched over the one that had been bothering me. And this was also a bit of a learning process. I hadn't done this before. So when I did a single duplicate stitch in the background color, I could see the offensive color poking through. So I ended up doing double duplicate stitch, and that completely covered the color that I did not want showing through. So something to keep in mind if you're duplicate stitching over a color correction, 2 stitches might be more effective if you work one stitch and it's not turning out the way you want it to. And for real, this time I do think that's everything I have to say about this vest. She's almost done, just in time for it to be too warm to wear, but fall and winter always come back around, so that's okay. Our next work in progress. Now, I really do not have much to say about the Finch sweater because the only development since we last spoke is that all of the ends I had worked so far are in fact woven in. She's gorgeous. I'm gonna love her. I have to convince myself to get back into working on her. I've been distracted by easy projects like the brioche scarf and the Soho top. But we'll get back to her. She's definitely a product knit, not a process knit. But that's okay. Not everything is gonna be a process knit. And we do need to figure out whether I'm gonna in fact have enough yarn left over for the wedding guest dress I had been planning. However, the priority is of course to put the yarn needed into the Finch sweater. I definitely have leftovers from the vest. It's just a question of whether it'll be enough for a dress, and if it isn't, then we'll shift gears and work on something else, which is a-okay. I did rip out the Christmas ornament I showed last episode. I wasn't loving the mercerized cotton with the hook size I was using, and I didn't think that I was going to get enough repeats around the edges for me to be happy with the overall product, and I would work on it sporadically, which is not good for me and Irish crochet pieces. In the future, if I'm going to make one, I want to sit down and make it all in one go, because I found with crochet sometimes when there's a chain it'll get twisted if I work on it and then let it be. Either it'll unravel a bit and then I don't put enough effort into making sure it's corrected, straightened out when I go to correct it, but we'll just remember that going forward, to sit down, work on the whole thing, and not to put too much time in between working on it and not. And for my other works in progress, I haven't worked on the sock. Things have been busy and haven't had as much sock knitting time as I'm accustomed to. But that is a project that I know I can go back into and pick up and not have to worry about having things twisted. So she'll get done in time. And what else? My Hello Hugo Life cardigan, the Diamond Aran cardigan. I am not sure whether I'm going to frock her or not. I am kind of leaning towards it because even though the fabric looks nice, I think of it as a heavier weight cardigan and it doesn't feel like it. So the feeling and the reality of it are not lining up, so I might frog that and use the yarn for a colorwork project. I think that blue would look really nice with a yellow that I also have from the Dolton Flock. And those are all of my works in progress right now. Okay, that is it for episode 3. There are not too many updates. It's been a pretty busy month and the knitting didn't go the way I expected it to, which is all fine, and we'll keep on trucking away through April. If you have any questions for me, please let me know down below. Do the whole like and subscribe thing, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.